Hey guys, over at Fantasy Sabers, for the entire month of August, we're giving away a free The Sun Deluxe edition with every Saber order. We offer the best Neopixels on the market, so grab one for yourself. What if Anakin Skywalker received a red Kyber crystal on Illum? Let's start the story 3 years after the Phantom Menace. The time had come for the young Skywalker, the day he would receive his first Kyber crystal. He went to Illum with Obi-Wan, as they land their ship outside the frozen caves where his trial would await him. Anakin stepped cautiously through the cave entrance as the doorway closed behind him. Alone and surrounded by shimmering walls of ice, he felt the Force pulsate around him, drawing him deeper into the unknown. With every step, the caves seemed to respond to his presence, whispering quietly, beckoning him forward. Shadows danced along the icy corridors as the whispers grew stronger, transforming into a powerful presence that enveloped him entirely. Suddenly, Anakin felt a shift. The Force tested him, probing the hidden parts of his soul. It sensed something different about him, a fire burning deep beneath his calm surface, passion and ambition, a fierce hunger, burning brighter than any Jedi should possess. The cave understood this darkness and embraced it, guiding him towards his true destiny. Drawn further in by the mysterious energy, Anakin halted before a crystal embedded deep within the cavern wall, unlike any other he had seen. It pulsated with a crimson glow, alive with the power of untamed passion. Recognizing his inner turmoil, the cave had chosen for him a path distinct from any Jedi before him. With passion, Anakin reached out and took hold of the crystal as the cave walls collapsed around him. When he opened his eyes, he was back at the entrance of the cave. Obi-Wan walked up to Anakin, excited to see what color the cave had given him. But when Anakin opened his hand, revealing the red Kyber crystal, Obi-Wan was speechless. This has never happened in the history of the Jedi. Red Kyber crystals weren't meant to occur naturally, yet Illum had given Anakin one, and there must be a reason behind it. On the way back from Illum, Anakin constructs his saber. Kenobi coaches him through it, until he finally adds in the crimson crystal. Before he ignited, Kenobi hoped that when the blade came out, it would change color. But when Anakin ignited his red saber for the first time, it was lit with passion and strength that Kenobi knew was going to cause trouble. Anakin didn't know what to think. He knew red was the color of the Sith, but he's been given the crystal for a reason. The cave wanted him to have it, but why? Yet his nervousness remained, but Obi-Wan assured Anakin that it would all be okay. He's done nothing wrong, and together they will get to the bottom of this. Word of Anakin's red Kyber crystal began to flood through the Order. A few days after they returned, Kenobi was summoned in front of the Jedi Council to tell them the truth. Illum indeed had given Anakin a red Kyber crystal. Some couldn't believe it, Windu even going to say he should be removed from the Order, that he could be a Sith spy. But Obi-Wan stands up for Anakin, saying that this isn't the boy's fault. He's 13 and didn't choose the crystal. But Windu rebuts, asking how they can be sure of this. Obi-Wan wasn't in the cave with him. They don't know what Anakin's capable of. Murmurs of agreement follow, but Obi-Wan looks at Yoda, knowing he'll show reason. Yoda says this is disturbing. In all the years of the Jedi, never has Illum given a red Kyber crystal to anyone. He sensed darkness in Anakin's training. Maybe this was it. But to shun him, a 13-year-old boy, this is not the way of the Jedi. Yoda states that for now, nothing will change, but they will all meditate on this and get to the truth behind it. However, Anakin's life over the following months would change drastically. He felt cast out of the Order, alone, as if no one cared about him. His classmates shunned him, out of fear or suspicion. It didn't matter. Knights gave him funny looks in the corridor, and masters whispered about how he should never have been allowed to join the Order. Rumors spread that he's not the chosen one of the Jedi, but the chosen one of the Sith, to defeat the Jedi from within. Anakin had had enough, and told his masters that the Jedi Order is no longer his home. He doesn't feel welcome, and believe his path must lie elsewhere. Obi-Wan told Anakin that he must stay to complete his training, that he promised Qui-Gon he would train him, and Anakin thanked him for this, but tells his master he's done his job. Now Anakin must face the rest of his path in the Force, alone, and he officially leaves the Jedi Order. Anakin was granted a ship and left Coruscant with one destination in mind. He travelled back to Tatooine, his home, and asked around to find the location of his mother Shmi at the Lars Moisture farm. Anakin was extremely joyful to discover that his mother was no longer a slave, but in a loving family. That night, over dinner, Anakin told them all about his journey in Jedi training, but how he felt his path was elsewhere. Shmi was saddened to learn that Qui-Gon had died shortly after he left, and would forever be grateful for what he did for her son. Anakin spends weeks at the farm, working and spending time with his family. They accepted him with open arms, and Anakin was happy here. But something was missing. He couldn't help but feel like he had more of a purpose. He knew being called the Chosen One was not an insignificant thing, and believed he had to explore this further. He said farewell to his family, that he will return in time, but has to discover his true purpose in the Force. Anakin spent the next months traveling the galaxy. He spent time in remote towns, going to planets that had significance to both the Jedi and Sith, searching for answers. But he didn't find any until he was leaving Tatooine. He was in the middle of hyperspace and felt the Force call to him. Out of instinct, he exited hyperspace, and in the distance, he goes to look at his navigation map, but it malfunctions. Nothing in his ship seemed to work anymore. He felt as if more was at play, and let the Force guide him, as his ship was pulled in towards the light as it grew bigger to reveal a bi-pyramid structure. Anakin briefly lost consciousness as he woke up to find himself sitting at the cockpit, that his ship had landed atop a grassy mountain. What was this place? He left his ship and instantly felt the Force was extremely strong here. He followed it as he ventured up to the mountain to see a vast stone temple was atop the summit. He entered the temple to see a man was sitting at the end. He was alone, old and meditating. But most importantly to Anakin, he was strong in the Force, extremely strong. Anakin called out to him, asking if he was the one who called him here. That being, known as the Father, opened his eyes and told Anakin he was, that he's been waiting many years for Skywalker to come to them, as he's been eager to meet him. Anakin raised an eyebrow, asking what he meant by them, and then from either corner came out two more beings, one female and one male. As Anakin got closer, he realized these weren't normal humans, or beings by matter of fact. They were terrestrial, non-organic. Could they be pure Force itself? Anakin asks what this place is, and the Father tells him it's their home, that he stays here to maintain balance in the Force. He points to the girl, telling Anakin this is his daughter, the embodiment of the light, and then points to his son, and explains how he's the embodiment of the dark side, and that only himself can keep the two in balance. Skywalker couldn't believe it, and asks him if he's a Jedi or Sith, who tells Anakin he doesn't focus on such semantics. There is more to the Force than just Jedi and Sith, and tells Anakin that he already knows this. He knows Anakin believes he has a deeper purpose, and it's true. To be labelled the Chosen One is no small feat. He offers Anakin to stay on Mortis and learn the truth about his path in the Force. Whether he's the Chosen One does not matter, but time will reveal the truth. Anakin accepts, believing this is the missing piece he's been searching for this entire time. Over the following years, the Father taught Anakin a lot about the Force. He started with the nature of the Force, explaining how the Force is not light or dark, it is both. To truly master it, you must be the balance between them. The light and the dark are not enemies, but twin truths. To help him learn this, Anakin spent time with both the son and the daughter, who each attempted to teach Anakin about their own innate beliefs on the Force. And it's through his time with them, he learns to understand that the dark and light are not so different from each other, and are two sides of the same coin. He helps Anakin understand his emotions, that it's okay to feel deeply as he does. It's his gift, but it comes with danger. The Father guided him through emotional discipline, not suppression, and not to be over-emotional, both pitfalls of the Jedi and Sith. He tested Anakin with the allure of power to the dark side, showing him what he could do with it, how he could change the galaxy through power. But Anakin learned to resist this temptation. Their ultimate power is nothing without true purpose. One important lesson was when Anakin asked the Father about his lightsaber, but he tells Anakin such a weapon is crude for someone who's truly mastered the Force, and asks Skywalker what he thinks about his red blade, who tells the Father it still confuses him. It always made him question his purpose, if the path he was on was the right one. But the Father revealed the truth, that he was the one to give Anakin the red Kyber crystal to lure him to Mortis. Anakin couldn't believe it, as the Father told him to remove the crystal from his saber and focus the Force into it, channeling everything he's learned so far. Anakin did this, focusing on the balance he's achieved, as the crystal started to change color, first to orange, yellow, until it faded to a clear white. Anakin opened his eyes to the amazement as the father congratulated him. This proves he has successfully achieved balance in the Force. Over these years, Anakin's connection to the Force grows exponentially. Even after 1 year, he was stronger than he'd become in the original timeline. But it wasn't power that Anakin craved, it was purpose, and he had found it. He spends a lot of time with the son and the daughter, essentially becoming the brother, and they started to become no longer drawn by their temptations, but instead, they felt his balance through the Force and kept them under control. At 22 years old, the father gave Anakin his final test. In the arena, the father commands the son and daughter to attack Anakin, and they don't hold back, using everything they can, but it simply was not enough. Anakin's power had risen too high as he used the Force to pin them both to the ground, symbolizing to the father that it was true. Anakin really was the chosen one, and the one who would take his place. After this, he takes Anakin aside and tells him he's certain of his future, that his true purpose will start soon. They talk about the state of the galaxy. It has been thrust into war. The Clone War was 3 years in, the Republic versus the Separatists, but it really was Jedi versus Sith. The father asks Anakin what his thoughts are on this. Anakin thinks hard, and has searched deeply into the Force to understand the true nature behind the conflict. He feels close to the answer, but the Force always hides the truth from him. The father agrees, telling Anakin that it's him who's put the block inside Anakin, since he wasn't ready for the truth, but now he is. The father removes the block in Anakin's mind, and they meditate together, and through this, the father shows Anakin the truth. Palpatine is the true Sith Lord, master of Darth Maul, and now Count Dooku. It was Palpatine and his master Darth Plagueis who came up with the plan of the clone army, each and every one of them equipped with the inhibitor chips that would force them to turn on the Jedi when the time came. Anakin couldn't believe this. Palpatine was always nice to him, but it was all insidious. The father tells Anakin Palpatine likely would have got to him if he'd never come to Mortis, and asks Anakin what he thinks they should do about the Sith's plan. Anakin thinks on this, telling the father that they should stop him. If they let the Sith do this, they will control the galaxy. The Jedi aren't perfect, but it's better they are in power than the Sith. The father questions this, and tells Anakin, even before the war, the galaxy was no better off than it was now. Regardless of who's been in power for the last couple of thousand years, the people suffer. The Sith want everything for themselves, and the Jedi are too scared to make any real difference. This must change, and the father tells Anakin they're going to let Palpatine carry out his plans to purge the Jedi and then stop him after. Through this, both the Jedi and Sith will be defeated, and from the ashes can be birthed a new order that will restore balance to the galaxy. Anakin thinks on this and tells the father they can't let that happen. The Jedi are not inherently evil. There must be another way. But the father shakes his head and tells Anakin he allowed the Jedi 1,000 years to make change, but they failed to do so. Only a true purge of both sides will change the galaxy. Anakin struggles to sleep over the following week. He looks through the Force to Coruscant, listening to conversations Palpatine is having, telling Dooku that Order 66 is only moments away. Anakin can't come to agree with the father's plan. There must be another way. And the following night, the night in which Order 66 will be activated, Anakin leaves Mortis without the father knowing and goes to Coruscant. He sneaks into the Senate building and waits outside of Palpatine's office. Inside, he senses Dooku and Palpatine, only moments away from executing Order 66. But Skywalker bursts in and breaks the communication system at Palpatine's desk with the Force. Palpatine and Dooku turn and stand in complete shock. Who is this person? How did they not sense him through the Force? And how is he so powerful? Palpatine stands, asking who he is, and Anakin responds, asking if Palpatine really doesn't recognize him. It's Dooku that does, and mutters the name, Anakin Skywalker. The Sith look at each other, and then back at Anakin, the chosen one of the Jedi, who disappeared from the face of the galaxy almost 10 years ago, has returned, extremely powerful in the Force, right as they're going to carry out the last stage of their plan. In an instant, Palpatine casts Sith lightning at Anakin, but he simply absorbs it with his left hand. Dooku ignites his saber and rushes at Anakin, but with his right, he pushes Dooku against the wall and holds him there with ease. He forces Palpatine to stop his lightning and sends him flying right next to Dooku, as he goes over to Palpatine's computer and starts getting everything he needs. First, he gets the footage from his office of Dooku here, detailed encrypted chat logs back and forth between them, inhibitor chip schematics, proof of Order 66, and future plans such as the Death Star schematics. From his desk, he sends a message to the Senate, emergency meeting in 1 hour's time. The Senate chamber filled quickly. What possibly could the Chancellor want at this hour? But as the center console rose, gasps filled the chamber. Both Palpatine and Dooku were standing there in handcuffs, with a mysterious young man standing behind them. Anakin announced to the chamber who he was and why he had come here, to expose Palpatine and Dooku as secret Sith Lords, conspiring behind the Clone War, fabricating the conflict for personal gain, with their own hopes of creating the Galactic Empire. The chamber was silent, but erupted in outrage as Anakin presented the irrefutable truth that they were working together, and no doubt were the enemies of the Republic and democracy. Cheers of support for Anakin started to begin. Senators such as Bail Organa coming out to call for Palpatine's arrest, Mon Mothma calling for it to go to a vote. Anakin invited Mas Amida into the center stage, who accepted the proposition, not having a choice. The fate of the Chancellor would go to a vote, and there was overwhelming support for Palpatine to be removed as Chancellor, temporarily sent to the Republic prison pending a full trial. Cheers erupted, and the Sith could not believe it. Yoda and Windu came in to escort Palpatine away, casting Anakin weary looks, who briefly told the Jedi he would be in contact soon. As Anakin left the chamber and out of sight, he sensed someone had come to see him. The father appeared behind him, asking Anakin what he thinks he is doing, why he's going against his wishes. Skywalker told him that he's fulfilling his destiny, that he will bring balance, but refuses to do it built on bloodshed. He asks the father to trust him, as he will need his support if he is to be successful. The father pauses, knowing the fate of the galaxy rests upon the balance, but he trusts Anakin and tells him that he will support him. The following day, after the politics had all been sorted, Anakin visits the Jedi Council. As he walks in, they can all not only sense his aura, but the level of power he exhibits. He could be 3 to 4 times as powerful as Master Yoda at this very moment. Obi-Wan smiles, reassured that letting Anakin to live all those years ago was the right thing to do, and he asks Anakin what he's come here to do. Anakin tells them all he's here to fulfill his duty, to bring balance to the Force. Windu thanks him for this, telling Anakin that with the capture of Palpatine and Dooku, he has done this, but Anakin shakes his head, telling them that the capture of the Sith has only tipped the balance in favor of the light. The Force is more off balance than it has ever been, and if it's allowed to continue this way, it may never recover. Yoda speaks next, telling Anakin that the light side of the Force is balance, but beside Anakin, a glow sparkles as the father appears and stands next to him. The council chamber goes silent as the father responds to Yoda, telling him that this ignorance is what led the Jedi down this path in the first place. Balance is only achieved when there's harmony between the light and dark sides of the Force. In every being, regardless of species, there is light and darkness within them, and only once you master both are you truly in balance. To favor either is to ruin yourself. He lets this sink in as the council members start to understand what he's saying. Ki-Adi-Mundi speaks next, asking them what exactly they should do, surely not embrace the dark side. But Anakin tells them that's exactly what they need to do. Look in front of them. Both Anakin and the father have embraced the darkness, but have complete control over it. This is true harmony, as Anakin tells them it's not too late for the Jedi to do this. He can teach them, if they allow it. Yoda starts to understand the truth. For so long, the Jedi had moved away from the keepers of balance to the warriors of the light. He asks the father what they must do, who tells Yoda when he first left the galaxy 20,000 years ago, the Jedi were different. They had achieved balance over Ashla and Bogan, training in both the light and dark until they mastered both, and neither dominated. It's time to go back to that, the reformation of the Jedi Order into the true guardians of the galaxy that used both sides of the Force. Chatter scattered in the chamber, but everyone was all in agreement. The council members stand and kneel in front of Anakin and the father, asking if they will take over the Order and guide them through the transitory period for the Jedi, and they graciously agree. The next day, the entire Jedi Order met in the foyer of the temple. At the entrance stands the Jedi Council with Anakin and the father beside them. Together, they explain to the Order what they've explained to the Council. This resonated with a lot of the Order, many of whom had started to become disillusioned with the way the Council were doing things and saw this future change as a benefit to the Order. Some were more reluctant, refusing to take on the dark side, but the Council believed with time, seeing the benefit it had to the Order and galaxy, they would see the truth. Over the following months is when true change would occur. Anakin and the father sat on the Council, guiding them on how to reform the Order. The son and the daughter joined as well, and used their knowledge to determine how the dark and light sides will be taught in the future. There was some pushback initially, but as many began to study dark side practices and control it, they started to see the benefit it could have. The principle of no attachment was forgotten, and the Jedi was praised if they could feel their entire range of emotion but not let them cloud their judgment. The Jedi worked closely with the Senate in the post-war period, ensuring a peaceful transition of power, as well as helped restore prosperity to worlds most affected by the war. But they knew this would only be temporary, as a year after the arrest of Palpatine, the new Jedi Order moved off Coruscant to Tython. They were no longer under the Senate jurisdiction and acted how they believed would be beneficial to the galaxy. Being on Tython facilitated their training, now under the guidance of Tython's two moons, Ashla and Bogan, now the homes of the daughter and son. This facilitated a Jedi achieving true balance in the Force. Before a Jedi completed their training and became a knight, they would spend time on Ashla and Bogan with the son and the daughter respectfully to see if they could resist the temptations of ultimate light or ultimate darkness. The father was extremely proud of Anakin and his actions. He believed he had truly fulfilled his duty. Saving the Jedi was something the father himself couldn't do, and knew the galaxy was in safe hands with Anakin. And now he may finally rest. 2 years after the arrest of Palpatine, the father passes away. A funeral is held on Tython, and Anakin mourns his death. He wasn't just the father, he was his father, and will forever be thankful for what he has taught him. Anakin steps into the role as the god of the Force, controlling both the son and the daughter, whose bond to Anakin as their brother is far stronger than their innate connections to the light and dark sides, so Anakin believes there is no risk of betrayal in the future. There is peace in the galaxy. Finally, Anakin led the Jedi as the Chosen One, the true guardians of peace in the galaxy. He had restored the Jedi back to its true purpose, and now he could finally be selfish. There was one part of his life that was missing: love. On one of Anakin's correspondence to Coruscant, he made a detour. As he left the Senate building, he went into the office section of the senators, with one senator in mind. He waited outside the door, sensing the person he was looking for was inside. He knocks, hears the call to come in, and does so. He smiles as he lays eyes upon the person he's thought about most for over a decade. As she smiles back, "Hello, Senator," Anakin mutters. "Mr. Skywalker, it's been a while." And the rest was history. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out what if Anakin received a gold Kyber crystal on Illum or a dark Kyber crystal on Illum. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Sabers, where now for the entirety of August, we're giving away a free The Sun Deluxe with every order. See you next time, and may the Force be with you.